Hey, howdy ho, Lions fans. Welcome to the Detroit Lions podcast. This is episode 429. This is the official Detroit Lions podcast for Reddit. I'm your dashing host, Chris. I don't know, I'm still single pronoun. I'm your dashing host, Chris. With me is my good friend and co-host, Scott the Bischoff. How are you doing, brother? Glad to have you on board the post-game show.
Thanks for having me on. I'm good. This should be fun or something.
It will be something. It will be something.
Yeah.
There's a lot to talk about. Saw a lot in this game. A lot of points. If you bet the over, you're probably a happy person today. That's one thing to be happy about. We'll see what's going on. I think, we have a lot to talk about, a lot of things and a lot of angles. Got a great show lined up. We're going to talk about today's game. We're going to cover Coach Campbell's post-game press conference. We will have that for sure. We'll also do a roundtable and take your calls. Got that going on, a whole lot more. Great show lined up. Scott, you ready to go, my man?
Yeah. Yep. Let's go.
All right.
Let's kick this off and break it down.
All right. With that, here it is. Good times. Okay, first off, I want to go back to a month ago when everyone said that Aaron Glenn is probably going to be coaching somewhere else next year. How the heck are we going to – what are we going to do then? I would say that right now that will possibly – that's a possible reality, but I don't think it's the way that people meant a month ago. That defense was – I mean, look, we've let a lot of points be scored this year, but today was egregious. Today was an egregious show. And we'll get to the officiating, but we never stopped them once. We did stop them once, but the refs disallowed that. We'll talk about that in a bit. But the defense was horrifying. It was absolutely horrifying, Scott.
It was. We talked about in our pregame, and in the video I did, the pregame stuff, we did hit some stuff, which is good. We talked about DFS plays. We talked about Josh Reynolds. We talked about Hawkinson and that stuff. But we also talked about how you replace Tracy Walker. Mm-hmm. And you replaced Tracy Walker with a rookie today who was exposed in coverage very early, the Will Dissly touchdown that he gave up in coverage. Now, it's not necessarily something egregious, but he looked just a little lost there. Like, you got to get your hands up. You got to, something. But, there's that component of things that you're replacing a guy like Tracy Walker, and you're doing it in very difficult ways. And this matchup is just the Lions played it differently than I thought. This matchup is a brutal matchup for what the Lions have on defense, meaning if you want to take away Tyler Lockett, cool. But if you don't, then DK Metcalf is going to go bananas. If you want to take away DK Metcalf, good luck. Then Lockett's going to go bananas. And it seemed like what they wanted to do is they wanted to play Okudah on Metcalf, and he was just not going to be effective bullying Metcalf the way he bullied Justin Jefferson in Week 3. With what he did against Devonta Smith and Terry McLaurin, he just wasn't going to be successful like that, and it showed.
Yeah, Metcalf's a completely different player than Justin Jefferson is. He's a whole different piece of meat to try to play.
Not going to be bullied by anybody.
Right.
I mean, you is in press coverage. So, and the problem is that you then have to dedicate, if you want to play bracket coverage, you got to pick one. You're playing high safeties, which means you don't have enough guys in the box, which means you're giving up more against there's just so many ways to look at the defense and why it underperformed today. But in the end, this is a matchup thing, and then you throw on that the Lions played
Let me get Coach
really
Campbell.
Poorly.
Let me get Coach Campbell in here really quick.
Yeah.
He's starting his post presser.
It wasn't real clean. We had penalties, we had turnovers. One of those was for 7 points, which was the difference in the game, and then defensively, man, it just we weren't good. So. Special teams made some plays, but then there was a couple we gave up too. So it wasn't clean, and that's on me. Go ahead. Got you.
How do you challenge this team defensively? What areas do you specifically?
Well, I think we right now the answer is to. Look, we got to obviously clean things up there, and I'll look at everything, with AG. We'll look at everything we need to the scheme, to our personnel. and we'll find the best fit and, whatever we feel like is going to give us the best chance and the best chance in 3 or 4 weeks too, if that's a young player, it's a young player. And then we got to outscore them. I mean, honestly, there again is
It's a tough one to ask for.
as messy as some of it was early offensively. You can't be that way when you get in this type of game. The offense that's where this game went. It was high scoring, and so we have to outscore them. And so,
Scored 45, man.
if you make a mistake, it can't be for 7 points.
And it's easy to say it has to be complementary football. Obviously it does. But when your offense scores 45 with 3 of its best players out, how do you avoid the finger pointing, the offense thinking it did enough, the defense?
Well, I think the easiest way is what I just said is, the offense, we spotted them 7. So you take that away, we win this game.
Dan, you said last year during the bye, you're going to take a deep dive into same thing. You've been something similar with your defense.
Yeah, we're going to look at everything. We're going to look at it all, top to bottom.
Why do you think the defense has not gotten better?
Well, I know this. We lack confidence. That's very clear to see. That's one element to it. We lack a lot of confidence, and so certainly to do that, you have to, you have to have production in games and have success and stop your opponents, get some stops, things of that nature. So we're lacking some confidence in areas. And then there again, we're still making errors, which falls into our boat as coaches. That's on us. So
Shiner 9. Don't forget to like the video while complaining, for sure.
Including staff changes or shuffling at any point?
I'm going to look at everything.
When you say you lack confidence, how does that manifest itself?
I just don't feel our swagger. I mean, we knew if we could get this team in second and long, that it would go a long way. And then we would, you would need to produce because it's been an area where that team has not been as good. And boy, we didn't make the most of it. Now, look, they got us in a couple of third downs that are late, third and longs, that we have not been exposed to yet. And they gutted us, they got us good. And it was good designs by them, good play designs. And in critical moments, it was good. It was real good by them.
Coach, you guys set a lot of records too offensively, what you scored and allowed. What's the emotion like when you're going through a game like that, though? There's just so much happening, just so many points and everything being scored. What's it like being involved in a game like that?
Yeah, just keeping your head, just staying in it, and just knowing where you got to go. Keep it within a score if you can, and if you can't, you're within 10 or 2 scores. Then how do we get back to within 1 score? Save these timeouts, and So you just stay in the moment. You never give up, and you look for a stop. You get an onside kick. We get that onside kick. I feel like we win that game. So I thought we'd get a stop there at the end, 3rd and 5. Even though you go that whole game and it doesn't work out, I still feel like we were going to get that stop, and it didn't work out. So.
Dan, you kept saying at the beginning that this is all on you.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, are you going to increase your autonomy in every position this coming week?
I don't know about that. I just know this. I'm going to sit down with AG. Look, AG's a damn good coach, all right? And here's the same thing I told the team. The worst thing we can do is start pointing fingers at each other. And you did this, we didn't do this. We put up we can't do that, man. We can't let anybody pull us apart. And because as dismal as it is right now, we're not as far away as it feels. But until we do something about it, quit talking about it, doesn't matter. We can rob ourselves and we can say we're going to be better, but until we actually do it and make a commitment. And we got to coach better, and they got to take it on their shoulders, man. They need some accountability, and they need our captains and our vets, and they need to say, hey, enough's enough, And what are they going to do about it? Like, what are we going to do about it as well? So, I mean, we're all in this same boat together, and we got to clean it up. But I know this: we can't go in panic mode because it's the worst thing you can do.
Thank you, Jameson. Jameson, you rock, brother.
You had to stop on 3rd down, putting them in a long field goal. The officials said they blew the play dead.
Yep.
Did you hear that happening on the field? What explanation were you given?
No, I couldn't. I thought that it had been the play had snapped before I didn't even hear it. He said that, and I'm like, well, if he did, I did not. So I'm not blaming it on them. They didn't do that. We lost this game. So.
The play after it was like you're 8 minutes of line when he's coming out. Just what were you trying to accomplish there?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
What were you trying to do on that 3rd and 15 that they hit? The next play after that.
We're just trying to pressure him.
Yeah. Not expecting no. I mean, there was no thought that they would run the ball to keep it short.
No, they hadn't shown that.
Yeah, is there a certain element of you that's kind of shocked by this because the offense had all the injuries, that was going to be the problem today supposedly, and they performed well in the defense. It somewhat helped and didn't.
I'm not shocked. I mean, it's. I've been a part of so many games where you think it's going to go one way and it goes the complete opposite. I mean, but I did. I'm not shocked, but I thought this was going to be. Our defense was. It was going to be more defensive and it would be a more conservative type game, and it certainly wasn't that.
How much do you have to be careful not to overreact, I guess, to the defensive performance and making, changes going forward?
Yeah, I mean that's certainly just in part of it. I mean you gotta. It's hard to go look at it, in 15 minutes. Like you got to walk away and then really have a clear head about it and look at it, take it for what it is. And look, we had some young players in there playing, and one of them had his first start, and let's see how he did, and because some of these guys, they'll be better in 4 weeks than they are now, but we'll see. Look, I got to watch the tape. I really, I don't have an answer for you right now as to everything that went on, but certainly it wasn't good enough.
Can you comment on TJ's game today?
Yeah, it was really good. We knew we needed him to step up for us. He was going to be more of a focal point today, and he did that. He certainly did that. He stepped up and had a monster game for us, so he gave us a chance there. And look, man, so did, Reynolds really came to life for us, and Leaf stepped in there, TK, those guys, because once we lost Cephas, I mean, that was our crew. So thought Jamal ran hard, O-line blocked well. Goff, I thought, had another good game, minus the one, obviously interception. But, we did some really good things. But there again, we were, for as good as we've been, like forget the injuries, what frustrated me was the penalty. Here came the penalties, and then we had, the turnovers, and it's like, man, it just wasn't clean, and you can't play that way. Not against the way they're playing, and without some of your guys. So.
Two more guys. Let's see if it's hurt and Amani.
Yeah, well, Amani came back, and Rodrigo, we'll see tomorrow how they were, but that's usually a good sign they're able to come back. And Cephas, I'm not sure. I mean, he could be a little longer, but I don't know what that is. I don't know how bad that is yet.
How frustrating is it when some of the defensive issues are persistent, particularly outside runs? You have another communication breakdown.
Yeah, there you go. Good question, Justin.
Are the same errors?
Listen, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. And I have nobody to blame but myself. So I'll, that's on me to handle that.
I agree. He is right
can't
now.
keep saying that. Can't keep writing that. Can't keep, so there again, I'll look at everything. It is frustrating.
I understand you are the head coach of this team, but it's always felt like, a little bit more involved with the offense than the defense. I know somebody kind of asked it similarly earlier, but do you feel like you need to have a bigger hand in the defense going forward?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know about that, because there again, I go back to, man, I got a lot of faith in Aaron Glenn. I got a ton of faith in those assistants, and I think it's just, I think we sit down and I think we look at everything together, and because really, I think more than anything, maybe it's time for a deep dive, a real deep dive into it, players, everything that we're doing. But I also trust what he's doing, and there's a reason why I hired him, and so I want to let him do his job. But certainly, I got to look a lot deeper than I have.
Someone who played here and coaches here, even the history of the Lions. Are the boos that come out like that discouraging to you, even this early in the season?
No, listen, I get it. I mean, listen, I get it. And no, it's not discouraging to me. I understand what this is, And look, you don't win, you'll get run out of town, and that's the way life is. I mean, I'm here to win games, and And you get in close games like this, you got to win them. So.
Last one real quick, ever read with the missed PATs early, how deflating was that, if at all? How much did that sort of contribute to the snowball?
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
All right, thank you guys. We'll have it off.
All right, Coach Campbell, post-game presser. That was a tough one to take. He had a hard time there. Really quick, want to thank Jameson Hennessy. Thank you, brother, for that super chat. That was painful. I can only imagine how it would have went if we drafted Kenneth Walker III like I wanted. All right, Scott. If Goff pops up, maybe we'll grab him. Let's just start there. Let's start with a high point, okay? Jared Goff out there, he was going to be the problem this season. If you asked anybody before the season started, everything lays at Goff's feet. Can Goff do it? We know the defense isn't going to be good. We have to outscore the other team. It's all in Jared Goff. Could we have asked more from Jared Goff than what he's delivered in this game or basically this season, especially with the weapons he had today compared to the season earlier?
No, Goff's been great. I mean, he has. Did people really want to blame Goff? Do people really want to blame Goff for this season's failures preseason? I'm just out of really.
Yeah, there was a whole lot of questions about Goff and why didn't we get our quarterback this year? We're going to have to get him next year, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. All right.
We're looking at a guy right now. If he plays like this all season,
I understand that.
If he plays like this all season, like he did in the first 4 weeks, through the rest of the year, there's no question that Goff is your guy and he deserves a big contract. There's no question at all, right?
Yes, and that's a fear. Like that's an issue that I won't say this again. We talked about it on the game preview. So, no more game preview. We're past it. We're moving on. I would say, the idea that Goff was in any way, shape, or form problematic for what the team was last year or this year is that's sort of outrageous. Their offense is really good. They have a great offensive line. They're missing pieces. You're missing Amon-Ra St. Brown today. You're missing DJ Chark today, right? Like you have the Lions have an explosive, electric offense. It's run by a quarterback who has a tendency to turn the ball over at times too much, but just look at his numbers this year. He's got great numbers this year. It's not Goff's reason that they can't get off the field on defense. And again, I think that everybody, it's easy to say this, but we all need to take a giant deep breath on this one because sometimes you just match up poorly. You just do. There were a couple of plays where I think Seattle kind of knew exactly what the Lions were going to do, especially on that 3rd and 15, the second 3rd and 15 play. I think they knew the Lions were going to blitz inside, right? Trying to get pressure. And one of the reasons why I think they knew that is because the Lions in the last couple of weeks have not been able to generate pressure from the outside. It's a problem. It is something that is one of the big takeaways from at least for me watching today is that Aiden Hutchinson is missing in action. As far as pressuring from the outside, I'm not saying he's not giving great effort. I'm not saying he's completely ineffective as a player, but when you can't get pressure around the outside and you have to manufacture it, it means that you're having to move defensive players around as an offensive line coach in high school, which I'm not comparing them, but when you feel like you can get a defense to move players into certain parts of the field and you can get them trapped and you have good numbers, you're happy. And on that 3rd and 15 play, they had good numbers running the ball outside, and boom, it's a long touchdown. And I think that's what he's talking about, that when he's giving credit to Seattle for running looks that they hadn't shown yet, is those kind of runs. Right? On 3rd and 15, there's no reason to run that way, and boom, it's a long touchdown. Yep. I think the nuts and bolts of it is that the Lions cannot get pressure in traditional ways at all. It's not just Hutchinson, it's Charles Harris. It's everybody. They cannot get pressure on the quarterback, and you got to manufacture it by blitzing corners and blitzing safeties, which they've been doing, and blitzing linebackers, which they've been doing. So, I mean, this just was not a great matchup. It didn't start great, and he mentioned in there that he wanted this game to be a slower tempo, more of a grinded out game.
Yep.
But when Seattle jumps out to a lead like they did, you kind of are forced to you're forcing and playing catch up.
Yep.
You're chasing, and that's kind of how it was. But Chris, I do think that everybody's got to take a breath and just view this as a really bad matchup for what the Lions have on their defensive personnel, and understand
in
that
particular after the injury situations. I mean, with the injury situation they're facing. I think that really hurt them in that matchup. You can say, hey, they were 31st on offense and we were, 31st on defense, what a matchup. But the reality is, I mean, we are not playing even the 31st best defense with the team that we had on the field today. It's an unfortunate reality, but that's what we had. And, what we hope for in a situation like this is these coaches to be able to pull it out of those guys. Like we saw last year, Jerry Jacobs coming alive and standing up. Undrafted free agent corner, he winds up being the second or third best ranked rookie corner in the league by PFF. Really, I mean, just stepping up and doing the thing. We expected that. We wanted and expected to see that today, and that's not what we saw. We saw a defense that was really, really problematic. Okay, we're gonna get to calls here. Just one thing, I know there's gonna be talk about the officials. My point on the officials, and I'm gonna just say it is, in the game against Philadelphia, there's a ton of uncalled intentional groundings. There was an apology letter already from the NFL, and then this one, we stopped them on that third down. And then officiating screwed that up. There's a rock opera where I'm working. I have to say, I have people. I wonder what my day job is. I'm in the music business. We're working on this. We've got the ending. I just want to play it really quick for you. Anytime you start to see something, you start seeing flags get picked up, it's time to bring out our official rock opera for the Detroit Lions. How's that? Is that a big ending? Did you like that?
It's nice.
All right, let's take some calls. Let's get a caller in here right now. Hey, caller, what's your name? How much have you had to drink?
Hey, this is Chris Robbins.
Hey, Chris, how you doing, man? Good energy, brother.
Yeah.
Come on, it's okay.
But it's, I've had a lot of other stuff going on, too, and you guys have probably noticed in the Slack over the last couple weeks or so, I haven't been as active as normal. I just got a lot of personal stuff going on, and it's been pretty stressful.
What do you got with the game, brother?
So, yeah, I just wanted to, let's start it off with the joke here, just to lighten the mood up a little bit. Any chance that we can pull a Matt Patricia out of our hat and let Ben Johnson coach the defense a little bit? Pull a little switcheroo.
Nice.
Do something like that. Get him running the ship a little bit. But for real, he's been very impressive. And even just like I've been doing a lot of research and stuff on my own time into offensive plays and schematics and stuff like that. And I like a lot of the stuff that he does. From a system standpoint, and the thing that we're really seeing is the emphasis on putting our players in the best position, and it makes me kind of curious why we're not able to do that on defense, because it seems like we have no trouble, and Campbell has done a great job of emphasizing this along with Ben on the offensive side, getting guys like Hawkinson today mismatches, getting guys like Swift in the first couple of games mismatches. Amon-Ra, obviously, every single week it seems like getting mismatches. So I'm confused on what we're just not able to do that on defense. Is this a personnel thing where we lack the talent there? Is this a coaching thing where we're just trying to stick a little bit too hard to scheme? Or, there's something kind of missing there in that approach. And that approach is completely different on both sides of the ball. I think that's kind of where that dichotomy is. And why we're struggling on that side is we're just not able to create those matchups and limit those mismatches on the offensive side for the opposition.
Yep, I don't disagree, Chris. Scott, what's your thinking there? What do you think about the creating mismatches and their ability, both from a personnel perspective now and pre-depth of injury?
Well, I think it's easier to create mismatches on offense when you're dictating the terms of how things are going to go, right? So the Lions don't have that kind of personnel on defense, so it's hard. It's almost like they're reactive on defense, and the opposite. I don't know if this makes any sense, but they're just taking it on defense because they have to. They don't have talent all over the place like they do on offense. They just, when everybody's healthy, their offense is loaded.
Yep.
When everybody's healthy, there are holes everywhere on their defense. And when you match up against, hey guys, listen, Tyler Lockett is an awesome receiver. DK Metcalf is an awesome receiver. He is a physical monster. Will Dissly, he's a good tight end, right? Geno Smith played really well today. Rashad Penny's a very good running back. They have 2 rookie tackles who are playing really well. So that's where I am with it. It's just there's a little bit more talent on the offensive side of the ball where they know they can score. They know they're talented. They know they are.
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel like on defense we're looking at a group that feels like that. And Dan Campbell mentions that they're just not. They look like a bit lifeless at times.
Yep.
Let's
see. 248-782-8384. Give us a call. 248-782-8384. We'll get you on. We'll take your calls. There's a big question now about Aaron Glenn, and in the presser when Coach Campbell was saying, "Hey, you've got to really step up, and you've got to," basically saying the offense has got to score better. You can't give away the ball. Alluding to Goff's pick 6. Sure, you can't do that. I think what was going on there was that Coach Campbell was not. He's not calling people out today in the emotional aftermath of the game. And this is a little bit about being a leadership. Again, about leadership. You take it on yourself, you own it, and you move on. They'll have these conversations behind the scenes where you're supposed to. You don't want to have these scenes from the podium because it's just not the conversation that's going to be productive for the improvement of the team. You don't want to, kind of put infighting into play there. Hey, caller, what's your name? How much you had to drink so far?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. What's your name, man?
Tanner.
How much have you had to drink so far?
Oh, it's not bad. I'm calling from up in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada.
Wow.
Out in the
That's awesome.
Yeah, been a Lions. Dad was a Lions fan, grew up in Ontario, Canada, moved out here, and he passed the Lions on to me. Now, the offense, we have no weapons today. We put up 45 points. That is such a bright spot on this team.
Agree.
Like if you're going in this game thinking this team was scoring more than 21, 24 points, I'd have called you crazy. I seriously would have.
I was worried about that too. I was worried early on that, especially when they scored, if we were going to be able to pull anything out of this offense. And then it really, it took that fumbled punt to really start seeing them be able to move the ball. But I was nervous about it early, but they were able to find their groove.
Through 4 weeks, they're going to be the number 1 offense in the NFL. They are.
You know what? It's awesome. And we have Swift, Brown out this week. Jameson hasn't played yet, right?
Yeah.
But
no Jonah Jackson, no Vaitai. Ragnall's missed a game. Yeah. Yeah.
Like the offense is banged up. But at what point, I understand, nobody was coming in this season thinking the defense is going to be good. You were hoping they were going to be average, good enough to say the offense can steal us some games. St. Brown's coming back. If Swift can stay healthy, he's going to be good for us. But at what point do we start looking at Aaron Glenn being the problem?
Personally, I think it's way too soon for that, but that's just my perspective on it. I understand why. You've given up. You've had 4 weeks. You've given up a ton of points. You have, but it's the same. It's the same defense that got a lot of pressure against Washington. It's the same defense that's made Jeff Okudah look really good through 4 games. I know. There was moments today, but I get it, and I understand the frustration about it. It's just I don't think it's. We're 4 games. Aaron Glenn's a really good coach. He is.
Does this feel?
Well, I just got a question for you. How does the defense go from last year? Think about how bad the defense was last year. no Akuda, no Hutchinson. You know, we were kind of out on a limb last year. It was just kind of hoping we would be in games. And there was games where we were giving up 20 points. And there's no games this year where it's been the defense has looked anything like that.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you're
happen?
right. They've had a bad 4 weeks. They have. It's undeniable.
I'm going to let you take that question, Scott. Caller, thank you so much for calling in. Appreciate you, brother. Good luck up there.
I mean, he's making a great point.
Yeah,
The offense is a super bright spot. Let's focus on bright spots. It doesn't have to be, the sky's falling so much. This is a bad matchup for the Lions. It just is.
This feels like I want to say it feels like the Bengals game last year to me. Like, and this is one, it's in the description. I kind of felt this yesterday. This was a game that the fans needed after last week. The fans needed last week to really believe that this team was turning it around. The fans needed success out of the team, and they didn't get it last week. And you started seeing this SOL stuff climbing in. You started seeing the doubt creep in, that whole sense of this is what it's like to be a Lions fan. It's time to turn back to what we're always used to. And I just knew this was a game that if we didn't win, you're going to see the biggest amount of people jumping off the bandwagon, the biggest amount of frustrated people with this team, the biggest, SOL scream that you've seen out of fans yet. And this creates a lot of questions. If this team had lost to an absolute coaching loss, and I mean through the bad decisions like we saw last week, it would have been a disaster for Coach Campbell. It would have been an absolute disaster. Instead, we've got a defensive loss, right, where the defense couldn't get a stop and created a situation that lost the game for us. One thing to remember, and I'm just going to put this out here, is we've all talked about it, the kind of consensus is this is a 6-win season is kind of what we're expecting from this team this year. That's 1 win every 3 games. We're 1-3 right now. There's 2 more games. If we get a win in the next 2 games, we're on schedule. If we get 2 wins in the next 2 games, we're ahead of schedule for that 6-win season. So the wheels aren't off. It's just they have to get this stuff together. They have to get this together and soon, because they're losing people. A win fixes a lot. But they're losing a lot of people on this Dan Campbell train. And it's one of the things when he first started, I asked, how long of a leash is he going to get before the Campbell shtick starts getting old and starts getting, but you're not winning games and it's not funny anymore. It's not fun anymore. I don't care about kneecaps. I care about wins. And that's kind of, I'm worried that this is the season where something like that would turn. I think we need to focus on where
we're there right now. You see why Minnesota losing the game last week to Minnesota is such a big deal, because if they're 2-2 right now, is there all this? I don't want to say it's negativity, because that feels. I don't want people who are upset to feel like I'm saying, or we're saying anything personal about how they're viewing things.
Right.
The people should be upset. They gave up 48 points to a team that,
scored
it's
that much
Seattle.
all
It's
season.
Geno Smith, right? Like, but you should be 2-2. And if you are 2-2 at this point with the number 1 offense in the NFL, you think, okay, things look good.
Yep.
Schedule opens up. Things look good. That's the bummer about the loss last week. But Chris, you're right. This is a bit of an inflection point, and there's going to be, and there's just, we're Lions fans that we know this is how it goes, right? Like,
felt this before.
I do think this is different. Doesn't mean it in the end it works. Doesn't mean that it's gonna work. It's just, they have the number 1 offense in the NFL.
Joseph
They're
Austin's
loaded.
hilarious in the chat. I think next week we force a punt or 2. Hey, caller, what's your name? How much have you had to drink?
Hey, y'all, this is Logan, and just the 1 beer today.
Okay, that's fair. It's good to be healthy. It's not. Don't let this team hurt you.
If I had more, we'd be going down a bad rabbit hole with this game.
Yeah. Don't let this team hurt you for real.
Yes.
But I think with the defense, we are. It's obviously they've got some talent deficiencies, and you don't want to put it 100% on Glenn. And even if we have a couple of good players, an offense can always find the guy to pick on. The problem with defense is if you have 10 elite players and one guy who's a problem, they can go after that one guy.
Yep.
But we got more than one guy who are a problem. And you should, which it means the defense is going to be bad, but it shouldn't be historically bad. put some of the blame there on Glenn. So my question is, I'm not off like the AG train at this point, but at what point does that start becoming questionable? What do you think? Like, at what point should AG be on the hot seat?
That's a great question. Logan, thank you. I'm going to hand that to Scott first and let him go with it. Thanks, brother, for the call.
It is a great question, and I think it would be unreasonable to think that he's not on the hot seat right now.
I'd agree.
So meaning, hey, we've played very poorly through 4 games. What is our response to it? How do we resolve some of our issues? What do we do, and how do we moving forward, how do we fix and correct some things that gets us playing better football? Because at this point in time, what's happening through 4 games is unacceptable, right? So I think the whole fire Aaron Glenn stuff is way too soon. But the idea that they're not going to be thinking that, hey, we have to make significant changes, we have to do different things, let's figure it out. We're there. That's where they are.
Yep.
It's unrealistic to think that they're not. But firing him, I mean, I think that's so kind of riffing off of the caller and the question. Chris, tell me a player on defense who's playing well right now.
Well, that's on coaching, Scott.
No.
I just throw.
I mean, it's you know what I mean. Like, you could say Okuda's played really well through 3 games. I don't think he had a great game today, but I don't think he was horrible either. But outside of Okuda, is anybody on? Aleem McNeil's playing really well, right? And it's hard. He's a nose tackle 1 technique, so sometimes it's hard to recognize how well one of those, a guy like that is playing.
Yeah,
he's playing really well. I would say, Rodriguez is making plays as a 6th-round, rookie.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I don't know that anybody on the defensive side of the ball is playing real well right now. I just don't.
I see, Hutchinson, they're scheming against him really well. I see a guy, he's a rookie, and he's playing hard, and he's done well when he could, but he's still a rookie, and he's a one-man band. Charles Harris hasn't been playing at the level that he played before. I mean, you can sit here and blame Hutch all day, right? I think schematically they're piling on Hutch, and I think no one else in the line is really doing anything. Aleem McNeil's jersey was ripped by the second defensive play of the game today. That was kind of odd, but nothing there. He's a beast doing his job. I feel like
he really is. He is a monster. It's like that's a big piece that you have moving forward. Getting interior pressure is a very important thing. We don't need to talk about the draft yet, but there are, it's frustrating because I think the Lions are in a much better position through 4 games than the 1-3 record looks. Obviously, offensively they look great, and you're doing it without significant pieces and without Jameson Williams. And it's like, what happens when he shows up and starts to spread things out on I mean, think about how good this offense is going to be when he shows up and is just his 4.2 speed shows up.
Mm-hmm.
But the defense is playing to a point now where it almost doesn't matter much. They'll get it figured out. They will. Yeah. They will.
Had a Jerry Jacobs sighting on the sideline today. If you were there,
that's a huge player that needs to come back for them. I mean, he was one of the reasons why the defense played the way it did last year, was because of how well he did play.
Yeah.
He was awesome.
He really was.
He really was.
He was great. And we miss him. We definitely miss him. And not being able to put him in Oruwariye's. God, I was laughing.
I
know how to say it.
Right?
I know how to say it.
Maybe?
My mouth just doesn't move that way. Oruwariye, putting him in last week would have been. I think that would have been a no-brainer. When Will Harris is your choice, it's probably a no-brainer. Still, they should have put him in Amani's place, but they didn't. Let's get Goff on really quick. Let's see what Goff has to say as he's in the
guys. We trust those coaches, trust those players, and I'll tell you one thing. I know what happens if you don't support them. It goes downhill really quickly. So, if we want to stay in this fight and have any chance, it's stick together and remain a team.
Clearly kicking yourself over the interception, even though it was relatively early before things were decided. But what happened on that play?
Just bad decision. Late bad decision. Can't do it. Dumb.
Outside of that, these first few games, obviously, you've had
This guy's not anywhere near as soft as I thought he was mentally.
you've been in, even without three of arguably the best players on the team offensively out there. When you talk about this group that you've been in.
Yeah, I think a lot of the stuff in the pass game has settled in for us, and Ben's doing a hell of a job getting us ready every week. And I know that we had the receivers we had today, but I felt really good with those guys, with Q and TK and Khalif. I've had a lot of reps with them, so it wasn't maybe outside it looked like we had a bunch of backups in there, but to me personally, I had a lot of guys I've had a lot of reps with, so we were able to roll a little bit offensively.
What about the job TJ did stepping up?
Yeah.
Obviously, you talked about it. Needed a guy like that. Dan said he was going to be a little bit more part of the game plan this week, and to
Yeah.
step up the way he did, knowing that. Just talk about his day.
Yeah, I think you could see him kind of, catch a rhythm. He started breaking some tackles, started, being extremely decisive on his routes, extremely, separating well and doing a lot of good things. And that's who he is. It's just kind of, getting him, he's a rhythm player, getting him in that rhythm is important for us. We need to do that. And you can see how dangerous he is catching a shallow and taking 80 yards. But yeah, he's a hell of a player, and we got to keep him involved.
When you get the production you had today with the injuries and the backups play, does it validate to you the quality of the offensive run? That's coordinators put together?
Yeah. I think, like I said, Ben is doing such a good job getting us ready every week, and there's really no flinch with who's in there and who's not in there, and it truly is no flinch. And we've had a good plan and had a good plan today, and we had the 2 turnovers, and ultimately that's typically the difference.
Next man up is philosophy everywhere, right?
Yep.
It's preaching, you've got to believe in it. But have you ever been part of a unit that's, I guess, embodied it as well as you guys
No.
right now?
Yeah, no. And I think it's an unfortunate benefit of some of the stuff last year, right? We had a lot of guys that had to play because of injuries or whatever you have, and so TK has reps. I have reps with him. Cephas, the same thing. Skipper's obviously been in the league a long time. He has a bunch of reps. There's less drop off because of the amount of reps in live situations that some of those guys who typically wouldn't have had.
Speak to the rapport you have with Josh as well. I'm assuming not just quite the DJ that did the second last week.
Yeah, I trust him. I trust him a lot, and we're on the same page, and our communication is great, and he's playing as confident as I've ever seen him. He's strong, he's physical, he can win versus anybody right now, and he's a guy that we trust a lot.
You guys ended the season, obviously, with a lot of expectations, shows 1-3 start.
Mm-hmm.
For you guys, how pivotal is it to stay together? How do you caught up in the record? Continue to do things.
Yeah.
How pivotal is it?
Well, that's our only option, right? Because what happens if we don't. It goes downhill quickly, and we got a lot of games ahead of us. It's not the start we want, and it's hard to sit here at 1-3 and say anything positive. But there is a lot of game ahead of us, a lot of season to be played, and if we don't, kick it into gear quickly here, it won't favor us. So. Have to find a way to win these games, these close games, these high-scoring games, whatever you have to find a way to win them, and there will be no more excuses if we do.
Okay, guys. Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, Jared Goff. I have to say, first things first. His mental fortitude is a lot stronger than I originally had thought it was. He was. I think McVay really did break him. I think McVay really, really got into his head, and it really makes me dislike McVay more than I already did. But watching Goff come back, I got to go. We got to go. The question's always been, it's come into Slack a lot, and it came up in Logan wanted to ask you, Scott, from the Super Chat. Is Goff the guy? And we have a caller on the line waiting after this, too.
So, super quick. At this point in time, there is no option outside of Jared Goff that could possibly be playing better than Goff right now. So yeah, right now he is the guy. He's playing to a level where it would be reasonable for the Lions to extend him or to commit to him longer than than what's on his contract, which is a little bit, I don't know that the Lions could move away at the end of this season if they wanted to. So, I mean, if you're not going to approach the draft and try to replace him, then yes, he's the guy. I mean, I know that sounds that's almost like a silly answer, but if you're really not interested in replacing him through the draft, they weren't last year. And if you're not looking to make a move for a guy like Lamar Jackson, then yeah. And it is the best case scenario for the Lions for Goff to be the guy.
Yep.
Because then you get to use these picks on other things where you really need help. I have my own personal thoughts on whether he is or isn't. I think he caps them in some ways long term, but I mean, at this point in time, it would be undeniable to say he's played really well, and he is absolutely not the reason why they're losing games. Not at all. He's played great. He really has.
All right, hey caller, thanks for holding on. What's your name and how much have you had to drink?
Hi, my name's Nathan. I've at least had about 4 Bell's Two Hearted, so represent Michigan a little bit.
There you go. Good stuff. Good stuff.
At least.
Yeah. I'm living in Indianapolis, so
Ooh, good times.
I gotta represent a little bit. It's my first time calling. I listen to you guys all the time, especially when I'm kind of coming out work. So it's the first time I've gotten the chance to call. So I appreciate it. You guys are awesome.
I appreciate you, man. Really do. What do you got for us? So you saw the game. We saw the game.
Well, obviously, it was frustrating. You see the defense, and after like 2 or 3 possessions, you were convinced that they're not going to get a stop. And my brother and I, huge Lions fans, and we're just seeing this, and there's as much as the Lions offense, it looks awesome despite the injuries. You just didn't have faith in the defense, but I think a lot of us, after Hard Knocks and a lot of things, we're getting ahead of ourselves and expecting this team to be so good and to do better, and they're just not there yet. They're still missing pieces on defense. Like that pass rush isn't there. It seems like Hutchins is invisible, and it's understandable that a lot of teams are, they're double teaming him. They know he's the guy, and Charles Harris isn't making up the difference on the end. But, with that said, we got to kind of keep the faith a little bit. We're 1-3, but we're going into New England with probably a third-string quarterback. We'll probably get some offensive weapons back next week. And, if you go into the bye 2-3, the Lions are getting a lot of their defensive players back. Hopefully Levi, hopefully Pascal comes back. And I think this defense is going to get better as the year goes on. Granted, that might not be enough to make a playoff run, but at least, it'll be better. And maybe, hopefully, kind of how we went in this last offseason, seeing that the team, hey, we're going to be better. I think we're going to see the same thing at the end of the year this year. And we're going to beat some teams we shouldn't beat.
Yeah. Well, and I'm watching right now, New England is only 4 points down on Green Bay, though they're marching. Green Bay, that is marching. You get that kind of bounce sometimes when you
Green Bay's bad this year.
Yeah. But there's still going to be a challenge for the Lions, right?
Sure.
Watching.
Well, I don't know.
Team...
we play New England next. We play New England next week. We get to the bye. Chances are, I don't think Jamison Williams will be back for the Cowboys, but he'll be back, and you would think Pascal. You'll get Jerry Jacobs back, who 100% needs to be the second corner because Amani is fucking terrible right now. I don't know what happened to him. He's regressed.
He's hurt.
Sorry for my language, but and even but I mean, even putting Will Harris out there, he's about the same. It's super frustrating, to go out there and think that you get the team in the 3rd and 3, 3rd and 5, and the Lions are going to stop them even on a run play. That's super frustrating.
Yep.
And it's too bad because this offense, despite its weapons, was awesome today.
Yeah. All right, brother. Hey, I appreciate the call, man. Really do appreciate the kind words and the fact that you've been listening so long. You get a chance to call in. Lots to talk about here, but we got to keep it going. We got a bunch of people calling, so we're trying to chug each other.
Absolutely.
All right,
Thank you,
brother.
Scott.
All right.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Scott.
All right, brother. We'll see you. All right.
He makes a good point, Chris. I real quick. The idea that we were all thinking the Lions are a playoff team this year, in hindsight, is silly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, if that's the whole, if we set the expectations to that point, of course we're disappointed. Kind of where it is.
I think, Riz always said Hard Knocks is for the national audience. It's not for us. I disagree. It's for the national audience, but I think there's a lot of hope building for the local team, and there's a lot of Kool-Aid they're serving, and I think we bought a lot. I'm not off my 7 to 10 wins. I'm closer to 7 now. I'm still pretty certain this team hits 6 wins. I think Jerry's back's next week. Maybe he's after the bye, but him being on the sideline today down there and doing some practices on the side this week really shows me that he's getting close. Same with Jameson. Maybe he's back for the Cowboys. We'll see, but we'll see some good stuff. Hey, caller, what's your name? How much have you had to drink so far?
It's John in Charlotte. I had like one good microbrew per quarter, so not too much. I'm fairly coherent.
No, it's just enough to be able to keep watching.
I should have had a lot more, it turns out, in retrospect.
Don't let the team hurt you physically, right?
There's still time.
They can touch you in your fandom, but don't let them physically hurt you.
I mean, this was probably the most disappointing of the 4 games so far. We had a loss against the Eagles that was close, which we didn't think would be a win. And we had a good game against the Commanders that I think made us a little nervous, but it looked like a pretty commanding win. And the Vikings game was only disappointing because of how much we got up when I don't think anyone really expected to win on the road against them. This is the first game for me where I honestly did not mentally prepare myself to lose this game. And this is coming from how many years of Lions fandom when I've been mentally prepared to lose almost every game. So the joke's on me, clearly. So yeah, this is the hard one to cope with of all of them.
Oh man, that's great. That's you nailed it. I mean, that's for sure.
Right? I mean, it is what it is. I think the important question, the reason I called in to ask, you guys already kind of talked a little about the Goff stuff I was going to bring up because I don't know, Scott. I'm here to chew out Ash, and he's not here, which that's great. Because
he's in the chat.
I like what you say, Scott.
Hi.
I've already laid into him. The important thing is that Scott knows what's up. Scott was saying that we ever thought this was a playoff team. Scott, I don't think any of us thought it was a playoff team. I think we all thought it was just missing the playoffs team. And you say 7 to 10 wins. I had them at 7 wins. They're still on pace to maybe get around there. I think we all got a little overexcited about getting there at some point when our offense was this good. And I think this game is bringing us back to reality. It doesn't matter how good your offense is when you have the worst defense. But the thing is that this is the first quarter. Like I said, asking about how good Goff is was a good talk. But really the question is, for the first quarter at 1-3, did the team, is it where we thought they were? Is it behind where they were? Should we be 2-2? Should we be 3-1, 1-3? Like, it feels like this team's about kind of where we thought they were, which is just outside of the playoffs team. Is that a good thing? Because right now, to me, after these 4 games, it feels worse than I thought I would expect to feel at 1-3. Am I wrong?
No, I don't think you're wrong. If you knew through 4 games they were going to have the injuries that they've had to start the season, I think we would all kind of expect them to be 1-3 in that range. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you knew that Ragnow was going to miss games and you were going to have both guards out at times, you were going to miss your the players that you were missing today. You're going to, obviously the Tracy Walker injury is a huge deal. Those things are hard to overcome. They should be 2-2. I'm viewing them as I know this is a little, it's a different way of looking at things, but I'm viewing them as a team that should be 2-2. Obviously they're 1-3, but from the way I'm looking at it is they're a team that's right along the lines of, if not even ahead of where I think they should have been at this point if we were thinking about them as a 6, 7, 8 win team. I think they're still in that place where they can win 7 games, and you can say, last year was a 3-win team, and then you built on some things and you dealt with some adversity and you had significant injuries and you got to 7 wins, maybe they get to 8 wins kind of thing. I think that's in totality, that's a great season. It's a lot of development. It's a lot of building. It's just this one feels like a game that that based on the way they had played, that we kind of set it up. We kind of set ourselves up for this, right? The injuries, the matchup, that kind of stuff. It's a long way of saying that I think they're right along where they should be for what I was expecting, which is about a 7-win team. I think they're right there still. Chris, what do you think?
I think they can pull 7 wins out. They can't play like they did today. I think this team has the potential and the ability to be a 7-win team, but I'm just looking at it. You get at least 1 against Chicago. I think you got the Giants. I think you beat the Patriots. The Jags are questionable right now. The way they've been playing, that's a tough one.
I don't think we beat the Jags. They look
look really good. But you still have the Jets and Panthers both at home. Or I'm sorry, you're away from both those. The Jets and Panthers, and you have the Vikings at home and in Chicago again at home. I think there's opportunity for 7 still in the schedule.
There is, but the thing that's interesting about looking back on the first quarter is that if you had, at the start of the season when I said 7 wins, I think I'd have been happy to get to 7 wins. But I feel like now we're going to end up at 7 wins, and I'm going to be so frustrated, feeling like, man, we should have had 11 wins. Like, that's where this team feels, because the offense is surprisingly good, even better than I thought they'd be with the injuries. Like you say, the injuries are all coming on the offensive side in large part, and the defense is so underwhelming that it's hard to be so appreciative of the offense's ability to overcome what they've overcome, which is really impressive.
Yep.
Because the defense is not doing that part. So, and that's my takeaway, I guess, is that like we're probably on pace for exactly where we thought we'd be, but we're all going to be a lot more frustrated about ending up there than when we would have been so happy to be there. It seems like
that's exactly right? It. If we had a 23rd ranked defense or 25th ranked defense, we could be a playoff team. You know what I mean? With the offense and the scoring that we're doing.
We could.
It's incredible. It doesn't take a whole lot out of this defense. 2 stops, which is not a lot to ask. Today it was a lot to ask, but 2 stops today wins the game. You know what I mean?
No, again,
so we can't do it with this defense we saw today, but they definitely have it. They have the ability to do it. This team does.
The Lions always set a record. This time it was the record for Seattle has never not punted in a game for how many years? This is the first time they haven't ever did not. We always find some way to find a record that is abysmal. But if you were to ask at the start of the year, what do we need to find out? We need to find out if Goff's the guy. 25% of the way, that looks like he's the guy, which that's good. Like Scott's, like you said, that's the best case scenario for the team. So great if that's the answer.
Yeah, but and to your point, if we're disappointed in the end over a 7-win season, I think that means we're really happy with. We're really happy with the personnel and the coaching and the development of going from what they were last year to 2 years later, thinking 7 wins was super disappointing. It could have been 10. I would say that's a good thing.
Yep. In the big picture for this game. Yeah, is the silver lining is that it's so frustrating, and then we're going to end up at this season, and we're going to have actually outperformed what we initially thought, and we're going to be frustrated by it. And that, honestly, is hopefully a good thing. So thanks for taking my call, guys.
Sure thing,
like
brother.
I said, we find out Goff is the answer, and that's the success for the season. So
100%.
All right, go Lions.
All right.
Indeed.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate that. All right, I got another caller here. Let's just pull him right in. Hey, caller, how much have you had to drink, and what's your name? In either order.
What's up? It's Mo from the Creek. How y'all living?
Mo, how you doing, brother?
All good. My wife gave me an edible, got 2 beers, and I'm lit up like 12 Christmas trees.
Oh, man, that's good to hear.
Sounds like you're having a good day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But, that defense was atrocious. But offense is the shit. Offense, we dope on that side of the ball.
Can you think about that? I'm thinking back to the last regime, right? And the one thing we talked about was this roster that Campbell and Holmes got is ass, basically. They started with a garbage time roster, but we knew the football was going to be more fun than it was during the Patricia era. And look, this is a painful loss. We can be angry about the defense, but the thing I can say was the team had a chance. again, I don't blame the refs for the loss, but they had a hand in the flow of the game for certain. I mean, I think we have a better shot at a win because we have a stop there if the refs don't F that one up, which would have been the only stop of the game. They earned the stop. But whatever. But it's still more fun, and I think we're a lot better. I feel like this game in the Patricia era was, you know, a 48-7 affair instead of a 48-45 affair. Because even with Matthew Stafford, we could not seem to score points on offense for the life of us. It seemed like getting to 20 points was a struggle when Patricia was the coach.
Right.
Putting 45 is
when it was 20.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mo.
When it was 24-9, it was like, oh man, this is about to be a blowout. And then it just kept climbing. But we scored, but they scored next. You know, it just could never get that stop.
Exactly.
And isn't it typical Lions fashion where we do get a stop, and the Lions and the referees have a meeting and say, no, we're gonna redo that.
Yeah, the Lions choir stepped up. They started singing.
And even Chris and I talked about this before. Like even on the onside kick, the officials, I hate to do this, but the officials put a flag on the ground preemptively, like, yeah, we'll just put one on the ground in case something comes up and we need to address it. Like, and they describe it like, well, we thought Seattle had recovered the onside kick illegally. What? Like what?
Right.
And it almost, I mean, if you want to be like, you want to view it that way, it's like, was the flag on the ground in case the Lions recovered?
Yeah.
It's just like, why? I don't understand it. There was so much.
5
stuff
picked
like
up flags, right? And so, look, you take everything sinister aside, and there's like 2 choices, right? Either you got a ref that has just horrible eyesight, right? Just it doesn't understand the rule book or whatever, or he's a trainee, and they're like, no, they talked him down. No, you saw this, but this is the way. I mean, other than that, the other side of it is like. There's the flags. There's 2 kinds of flags. Flags that you throw where you thought you saw something that didn't happen, right? Or flags you throw when nothing happened. And the most egregious of those was the Eric Ebron offensive pass interference when the defenseman just choked on his own jock, and they threw a flag anyway and called a complete. There was nothing to see. There was no way that ref saw a penalty because none occurred. He just assumed it and threw a flag, which is absolutely terrible at your job. And it's like throwing flags and then picking them up. We've seen that, of course, in Dallas. It goes on forever, but 5 times they picked up flags and no call.
When have you seen that before?
That just smells really bad. And I'm not trying to go to a sinister place. I'm not saying the refs cost the game, but God, it stinks. And I hate that, and it gets stinkier now that Vegas is so much involved and the betting so much involved with the NFL. I love betting and the gambling. I enjoy doing that, but boy, you need a hell of a lot more transparency in your officiating if you're the NFL right now, because the implication and the visibility on this, it just doesn't look good. The optics are terrible.
Yeah.
What do you think about the play action that we could never just get a cap on? I mean, they could have read play action and just run it around and just do that same play all the way down the field. It's like we just had no answer for the play action pass because Geno just kept tossing it off to the tight end, It was like, golly, Glenn, can we get some type of different scheme?
Well, that's I think what Scott was talking about when he talked about how bad this matchup was for the Lions, because you were matched up against tight ends, and that's the worst position we are at covering, right? I mean, we've got our corners, and Oruwariye has his own set of issues, but with our linebacking core, the way they are, trying to cover tight ends, and then the slew of tight ends that they have where they can throw 2 of them at you, that really causes this team. It's a matchup problem for the Lions, and the Seahawks exploited the shit out of it. Am I right there, or am I reading you wrong on that, Scott?
No, you're right, and some of it is that they can't get pressure traditionally, so they have to manufacture it.
Yeah.
So when you're manufacturing it, you're bringing players from the second levels and the third levels of your defense, and that's opening up significant parts of the field. And the play action stuff is wide open because Lions are vacating areas of the field to try to get pressure. They are. Now, if they didn't do that and they just went with, 4 down, players and they just tried to get home, and Geno Smith had 7 hours to throw every snap, right? We'd all be freaking out that, hey, can you blitz somebody? Can you bring some pressure? So it's like some of this is just this is how it is right now. They don't have a lot of talent. They're struggling in some ways. They're not playing with a lot of confidence, and the coach is trying to dial up ways to get pressure and to make quarterbacks, opposing quarterbacks uncomfortable. But that does open up huge parts of the field. It just
100%.
does.
Hey, really quick, Mo, I'm gonna lean on you because you let me lean on you all the time.
Yeah.
And just want to tell our friends that are watching, take a second, hit the like button. Appreciate you being in here watching. It's free to do. It doesn't cost you anything to hit the like button. And if you really feel extra special and givey, hit that subscribe button as well. We only ask once per show. We know, right? We don't want to hit you with that stuff and do the whole thing, but it does help us. You've heard of the algorithm and all the other YouTube shit. Please hit the like button, just as a little thing to say thank you to us and help us out. And if you got it and you hit the subscribe button, that also helps us out a lot and helps other people see the show and what we do here on this channel. So that's the one time we'll ask. Thank you.
I'll take a shot to that.
All right. I knew you would, Mo. See, every like is a shot for Mo. Let's see what we can do to this poor man's liver.
Have fun, Mo.
Next week. All
right, Mo. Be good, brother.
All right, man. Talk to y'all later. Yes,
all right.
bye-bye.
You too. Thanks, man. God, he's great. All right, got another caller. Hey, caller, what's your name and how much have you had to drink? Hello, caller.
Hey,
how you doing? Good. How are you? How much have you had to drink today?
This is Q.
Oh, Q. You don't drink.
Nothing to drink. No, I do, man.
How many hamburgers do you have?
Bro, I had a lot of French fries.
Okay. He's my favorite vegan friend.
I'm so frustrated. You know what? How you doing, Scott Bischoff? I always followed your stuff, man. Huge fan. I'm
great, man. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. It's very nice of you.
Yeah, I'm really excited when they brought you on. But maybe I'm looking at this differently than most people. But I'm not looking at this as a number of wins. I'm not looking at this based on injuries. I'm looking at this based on Aaron Glenn has now sucked for some time. This is Dan Campbell's guy. Will he pull the trigger and do what needs to be done? Because I don't think it's based on who's there or who's not. Because when Tracy Walker was playing, we're still giving up 35 points. So it's like Ben Johnson can make adjustments, and he had all those players out. He still made it happen. We still scored a lot of points. But it's like Aaron Glenn can't overcome anything. So at some point, we got to stop making excuses, and he just has to scheme better. Third down, up the middle, like in crucial situations multiple times in the game, crazy.
Yes.
But those are my thoughts. I don't know.
Yes. So I'll say, and this is why I think Aaron Glenn, he will, and Scott, I want you to check me on this, okay? Thank you, Rasputin32, for the subscription. I think that Coach Campbell absolutely has it in him to fire AG. And I'll say it after Alin last year. Anthony Lynn and him both went for that Miami job, and he trained Anthony Lynn and helped him prep for his interview for that job that he was competing with him on. I don't think he has a problem letting someone go for non-performance. I think he's going to do it in a way that's right. I don't think he's going to do it. Look how Alin left last year. There was no stink. Alin was fired before the Steelers game. I'm just telling you, he was straight fired. He didn't do anything. And he was actually a negative impact inside the offensive room. And I'm telling you that because I know somebody in there. I got people in the Slack know Chris Dust is for real. I talked about Logan. I know, trust me, I know a lot of what's going on in there. Alin was not, he was bad for the team afterward, but the optics were important to them. And how they did it was just as important as the fact they did it. AG, if it comes to the point where they think he's the reason that they're not performing, AG will be let go. And it's not going to be some, frog march type of a situation. He's just going to be let go in a sensible way, and they're going to move on. So I think that Campbell has it in him 100%.
He does. And if that's if Campbell views that as the right choice at whatever time, he will make that choice. It's not like there's You know what I mean? It's not like Aaron Glenn has pictures of him or whatever, the people think. It's like, if the point comes where Dan Campbell views the defense as stagnant or not improving or struggling to take leaps that he thinks they should be taking, yeah, of course he would make that change. He would. Without a doubt, he would. Is that where they are? No, not right now.
I think that we might be at that point because, okay, I get the number of wins is a good measure for the rebuild and all of that. But what's also a good measure is how you make personnel decisions during this time. Because just like we're evaluating players, we're evaluating coaches, we're evaluating everything. Then they get a new strength and conditioning coach. Like, this is like everything is on the board right now. So I don't know. I know you don't know this, Scott. I'm a long suffering fan. Like, I live in Atlanta. I have season tickets. I go to I had to miss this game because I had to go to Seattle for work earlier this week, but I go to every game, every event. It's a lot when it's like, I just need to see that we're moving in the right direction. I think offensively we are. Just not so sure defensively. Because, yes, it ended up being a 3-point game, but that's not the story of the game. Same with last week, same with week 1. It's like it ends up, we just lost by 3. If we would have made such and such play, maybe so, but also the games were never that close. We have to like crawl back into it to get it to within 3. So
yeah,
I don't know. I'm just disgruntled.
No, and that's fair. I mean, I think that also speaks to the Lions players buying in and not quitting on coaches. Like, I know that they couldn't get a stop on defense, but like Chris, like you said, do you think this is a 48-45 game if it's Matt Patricia coaching?
Ooh.
No
chance.
No, it doesn't matter the personnel. It doesn't matter the quarterback. They're not going to play for that guy, but they are for Campbell. And it's just, we have to give them a little bit of room to make some changes and to figure this out. If it doesn't get figured out, Aaron Glenn will be elsewhere.
Yes, yeah, 100%. And I don't think that's going to be a problem for him to make that move. Q, I'm gonna let you go, okay, bud?
All right, man.
All right, I'm gonna look for you at Miami though.
Go about my day now.
I'm gonna look for you at Miami, okay?
Oh, for sure. I'll be in Dallas on the 23rd. We play the Cowboys. So
I'm trying to swing that. I might. It's a
go.
long shot
Let
right
me
now.
know.
Okay, I'll let you know, man.
Have fun, Q.
We'll see you, man. So yeah, I should have been there this week. We had this thing. Some of you might have heard about it. A hurricane came through. It was aimed right for us, and I mean, I'm still not walking straight after hanging those stupid shutters on my house, man. Like, you try carrying corrugated steel up on the second floor for 12 friggin' windows, multiple panels per window. It sucked. But anyway, so I'm here. Couldn't make it out for the game. That bummed me out. I think it would have been exciting to see the game. I think it would have been exciting to be there. It really sounded like Ford Field was rocking this week. So, good times. Okay, we're starting to get to that point. We're going to start filtering out calls. If you got something you want to say, let's get it in quick. The number 248-782-8384. It's area code 248-782-8384. We'll get you on the show. Or if you don't have a regular phone, you can use Skype and go to Detroit Lions Podcast. It's all one word, Detroit Lions Podcast. And that's our Skype. Lucian Stanka, thank you for the subscription. Thank you very much. Enjoy the chat with everybody. All right, so here we are. We have this game this week. We're scoring like crazy. Number 1 scoring defense in the league. We've got half the ball fixed. The defense is going to be obviously a point of emphasis for this team this week, Scott. What, from your perspective, if you're a coach, what do you do this week to your team to get them to bounce back, to come back against these Patriots who are up at the half 10-7 with their third string quarterback because Hoyer got hurt, up 10-7 at the half over Green Bay? What do you do to this team to get them ready for this?
Well, it's Campbell mentioned it. It's keeping them all together, right? You don't ever want to be in a situation where you're blaming others for. I mean, you don't want to have a situation where the offense is pointing at the defense saying, if you guys just played a little better, we win. So it's and some of that is like he mentioned, kind of doing a deeper dive as to what it does look like on defense. What is happening? To me, and again, it's really hard to do this right away after a game because there's so many things that happen that you can't see TV film or on TV, just regular TV. So I would really love to see the long third down runs, exactly how Seattle caught the Lions. I think what happens is the Lions stunt their ends inside and are asking their linebackers to set the edge. And I think what happens is they just don't get out there to the corners, and there's no contain. So that's what it looks like on on TV. But so I think there's just going to be a lot of film watching, explaining what their assignments are, because to me it didn't seem like their defense played assignment sound football, and that's a little bit. I know that it's all going to come back on coaching, but when you're coaching players to do X, Y, and Z, and in situations that come up they don't, you gotta what's happening there, right? So some of this is going to be some tough love. It's going to be some, hey, we need you to play better. We need more, right? We need you. We just need better play all around. Campbell seems the kind of guy who can do these things and do it the right way. In some ways, maybe you just hand it over to Aaron Glenn and have him figure it out, have him talk it out with his defense.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean,
closed door meeting,
but you don't have a ton of time. You're preparing for New England.
Yep.
That's in a week.
Hey, caller, what's your name? How much have you had to drink?
Hey, it's Ben from the UP. Ran through about a 6-pack of Pickaxe Blondes and been on the trusty rusty Bush Light since then.
All right, Bush Latte, my friend. How are you? How's life in the UP? What's temperatures outside right now?
It's a little getting the fall weather. It's a little cool.
Yeah,
like 50s right now. Yeah, it's kind of chilly, but sun came out today, so.
No, that sounds beautiful.
Not too shabby.
We're 80 right now here. I would love to have 50s. All right, what do you got? What do you got for us in this game, man? What do you got going on?
Well, it was a stressful game for me because I had to watch it. It was my grandpa's birthday. I had to watch it with some Packer fans and non-football fans, some Vikings fans, and yeah, it was tough. I was like, yeah, people standing in front of the TV, and I was losing it.
What are they saying about watching the Packers losing right now?
Well, I'm not there anymore. I came back home and took off.
Really. You should go back
and watch the Packers. Yeah, that's it.
Go back, rub it in. Go back and rub it in, brother.
I like the Aaron Rodgers pouty face after that pick six. That's my favorite thing in the world, I think, right there.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah, I think a lot's been said about the game already in the defense and everything. So I guess I just want to say I hope they turn around next week, or that might be that might be strike one or level one on the hot seat for AG. They got to come in next week and they gotta shut down Matty P. They gotta come in and just drag Deese
nuts
right over it.
There you go.
Yeah,
sorry, you set it up and I was slow. I'm sorry, man. You did. I was not expecting that. Good stuff.
Yeah, they gotta drag it right across his face. What he did to us, and then even the last screw you when he hires a consultant and still took like $2-3 mil from the Lions, and they just got to stick it to him. Otherwise, then I'll be upset.
That would be glorious if they did. That would be very nice.
Yeah. Yeah,
we could use that.
That's
for
it.
Sure.
Yeah. I would. I mean, what do you do? Do you carry Dan Campbell off the field if we beat Matty P over there? I mean, is that what we do again and give him another taste of that?
Maybe a Gatorade dump, something. Yeah, it just could be something. And then going into the bye week, that's when we know we're going to get healthy and can really start to shape things up again.
If this team had done better in one of the last 2 weeks, I feel like we could start talking about carrying Dan Campbell off the field after a win in Foxborough, because that would just be happening twice to Patricia.
Yeah,
would have been great.
Yeah,
would have been great.
And the bye comes along at a great time too. I mean, it's something we talked about from an injury standpoint, but it's also it comes along at a nice time for them just to kind of have time to figure it out, right? Like it's tough to roll this over weekly. I mean, they got an opponent. You got an opponent Sunday. So there's not a lot of time to do deep dives and to spend hours digging at film. But with the bye coming, you do have time. So it does. This is the one time I think I can remember being happy that there's an early bye for them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that usually drives me nuts. And again this year, I was not too thrilled with where it was, but now I'm just like, come on, bye week, I can't lose that week.
If I look too far ahead, though, I'm terrified to be talking about all the injuries in week 14 and having to think about the last 3-4 weeks of the season with half of the team injured and no bye week for it seems like 100 years ago, right? I mean, it's good for now, but can they stay healthy? And that's something that started to bother me a little bit, and I haven't done a whole lot of research on it yet, but it's starting to run around in my head. These injuries last year and this year, it's not just for this Campbell regime. Matt Stafford, he missed a third of the games, it feels like, in the Patricia era. I mean, he basically missed a season one year. I mean, 3/4 of a season. He missed so many games out injured, plus all the other guys. And injuries in Detroit, I know injuries are part of football, so don't even just stay off of that in the chat. But it certainly seems like the Lions have been hit harder than many. I don't know if it's a turf thing. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't matter what the regime is. We get rid of the strength and conditioning team. We upgraded the whole conditioning room. We're not seeing changes in the injury front to these players. And I need to look at that. I need to do some more work on that because maybe we're not an outlier. Maybe it just feels like it because it's our people. But it seems like every year we have a significant number of injuries to important people on the team, and it just...
And they're devastating injuries too. It's not it's not like Tracy Walker rolled his ankle. He's out for he's a high ankle sprain. He's back in
3 Achilles in 2 years.
He's done for the year.
3 Achilles in a year and 4 games.
Just like Okuda.
Yeah.
The soft tissue injuries, the ankles. Just the similarities of all. What is that about? Yeah, I agree.
Think about that: 3 Achilles in a year and 4 games. That seems like a high rate, like a high number, like an outlying number for a team. Yeah. Why is that? And
those are old man injuries, I feel like, too.
Oh, God. I'm
and then the young guys get them.
Everything below both my knees hurts right now because of that.
Yep.
I got 2 bad knees, too.
Oh,
2
man.
torn ACLs.
Yeah, no, it's the injury thing is for real, and it's not an excuse. Injuries are in football, but it's something we got to look. Scott, we got to look into that. That's something that I think is worth kind of pulling apart a little bit and seeing: are we an outlier, and are we an outlier at that type of injury? Because I'm wondering. I mean, is it a turf thing? Right? I know there's there's some research that's popped up, and I'm just hey, turf causes there's more injuries on turf. Okay, cool. Let's see it. Let's see the data on that. Let's really do an analysis. I think that's something that's a really, really good piece of work that somebody could do. That I think would.
Well, some of it is also that the Lions' margin for error, so to speak, is so small that when you do lose a player, even a mid-level player for the season, it's a huge blow. Like the Lions, they were like the caller a few callers ago. The Lions were not playing great on defense, even with Tracy Walker in there, right?
Yep.
But now losing him is it's a huge deal. So they just don't have the ability to sustain losses like this and just take it. Like other teams that are loaded up can lose a safety and absorb it a little better than what the Lions can. That's just
and we knew going into this season that how big a deal that having a safety was. Like we were like, let's draft a safety. That's that second first round. I was all in on Scene or a couple of those guys. Brisker was there, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that was like, we need a safety. We've got to get a safety. Tracy Walker isn't it. I mean, not that he isn't it, but he can't be it, right? We need more.
When they
than just
traded
him.
up, I thought they were taking the Notre Dame safety.
Yeah,
for sure. That's who I thought they were going for. That's when they traded up. That was who I locked in. That's who I thought they were taking.
And sure as shit, as everything Lions goes, the weakest point, Tracy Walker goes down with a season ender in week 3. It's just incredible to me. It's almost like somebody got to pick where would it hurt the most. You know what I mean? Just said, take that,
oh, yeah,
and make it work.
Yeah, so here we are a week later, and everybody, rightly so, in some ways, is in panic mode about what the defense looks like. And it's like, no, we need to recognize how big of a loss that this is. One player, it's a huge loss. and it might take a little time for them to figure out, are they going to stay with this split zone scheme? Right? I mean, are they going? Do they have the personnel to do it? Are they going to play single high? If you're doing that, you're going to give up big plays every once in a while.
Let me ask you this, Scott. If they make that change, is that a change that they wait to the bye week to make, and they try to get through with what they have now because it's so embedded in everything they do, and then use that bye week to switch the scheme up?
Well, it's so. I mean, maybe in some ways. So they play the split zone looks about half the time, and they play cover 1, cover 3 concepts, man concepts, the other half ish. There's a little cover 0 in there too, but do I think they can play with the split zone looks without Tracy Walker? I don't know. I don't know if they can. But your point is that it might take more than the 3 or 4 days that you have to prep for an opponent to be able to change things in such a dramatic way. Maybe this is post-buy stuff where they go a little more vanilla on the back end because they have to.
And
that's one of the things that Walker did. He was so versatile. He allowed them to do, variable things.
And the communication, right? Now. His ability and his ability to communicate gave the ability to them to move between those types of schematic kind of play setups,
yes.
and not having somebody there who's trying to catch up, basically, right? Or trying to just play the position versus be able to communicate with the backside of the defense really starts to limit what you have available from an availability perspective. Giving them time to learn that, I think the bye week is going to be a big help. For our team. Zappy starting against this defense will look like Mahomes. It looks like Zappy starting.
No, he won't.
If he plays our D, we'll make him look like a Pro Bowler. That's hilarious. Good stuff. All right, hey, caller, thank you, man.
The fumble a little bit ago wasn't so much.
All right, thank you so much for calling, brother.
Real quick from the game.
Say what? Yeah, go ahead. I'll take some positives. It's therapy session.
So we had, it's easy to harp on and get down about a loss, but I'd like to give J.J. Hawkinson a little bit of credit today because, we've been harping on him through the first couple of weeks. He had a blow-up day. And then, Jamal Williams doing Jamal Williams things. Hell of a game for him. Then lastly, Tom Kennedy. I'd like to give him a shout-out. Just, didn't make the team, made the practice squad coming in, and didn't have necessarily a huge game, but made some catches that mattered. So, here's a few positives.
He did. So he did. He moved the chains for them a couple times. It's huge.
Yeah, a fourth down, much less.
Yep.
Right? That's good. Tom Kennedy, he's the secret weapon. Keep him around. Let's see what he can turn into because he's you feel it like he's on the cusp.
Reliable.
He's on that cusp of he made those chain moves. That's the kind of thing that you get from a guy in that first week. Let's see, maybe if he's got to be there week 2, do you get a little more out of him? And if we can see him in NFL games versus the preseason, if we can see him show up in NFL games, he's an interesting cat. He brings a really interesting skill set, and if he can do it at the NFL level, bring him on, man. I'll take it.
Yep, take all we can get.
All right.
All right. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, thanks for calling, brother. All right, we'll see you.
Yep.
All right. You too, man. All right. Woo. All right. So that's that. It was a tough loss. I mean, we only lost by 3. It felt like a lot more. It's still a loss. And we've got, I mean, let me look really quick. Our total win-loss, our points for, points against. It's got to be outrageously high on both sides. I just have to get it looked up here, but it feels like these games have all been so damn close. Why? Why? All right, here we go. Lions. Oh, where's my points for and against? I'm not getting it. I'll have to find it later. Oh, here we go. Lions, 144 and 141 against.
141 against.
Yeah.
So what is that? 35 and a quarter a week?
Yep.
Not great, Bob.
Yeah. So you want to talk about Aaron Glenn? The next, you're 35 points higher than the Commanders, who are the next highest points against team, but you're 37 points higher than the next highest scoring team. Wow, that's crazy. That's just crazy. Those numbers are off the charts. I mean, you're going to go big, right? You're going to go big. And there you are. Woo. All right. With that, That's this week's therapy session. I appreciate you all for tuning in. Ben or Scott, it was great to have you on doing this, man. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you. It was fun. I enjoyed it. Thanks for the chat. It's good.
Yeah,
It's all good.
I love having people on and getting their perspective. I just love seeing where people are at, and it's fun. I mean, this is, in this case, a therapy session. Sometimes we have a celebration. All right, we'll take one last call here. What the heck? Let's see. Hey, caller, what's your name? How much have you had to drink? And I think you're in the Tampa area.
Yes, I am. Ken McWise.
Hey, how you doing?
Drink because I still don't have power.
You still don't have power? Oh,
no
bro.
Power.
So
no power.
Oh man, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, bro.
Half the neighborhood has power. It's not my half.
That sucks. That thing was coming right for where I'm at and changed with about 16 hours left. And seeing what happened down there, that's just devastating, man. Devastating what that hurricane did.
We really got lucky. No water damage, no missing shingles, no broken windows, nothing like that. And I live in Mulberry.
Got it.
You know where that is?
Yeah.
Right up here in Lakeland at Mulberry. We got slammed. But anyway, I just couldn't let us go today without noticing, because I know you only hit it once. You never really push it. But by gosh, we got over 300 people in the chat and only 50 likes. Come on, people. That's a bigger embarrassment than our D was today. You know? I'm sorry, but that is. Come on.
All right, I'll run an extension cord down there. Fine. Oh man, appreciate that.
Keep up the good work, brother.
All right, thank you.
Keep up the good work.
All right, we'll see you.
Bye.
Cheers, man. Stay safe. Get cool. Oh man, no power in Florida. You just get gas in the car and go to some place with an air conditioner. That's all I can say, man, because it's pure misery.
I can't imagine. I really can't. And wow, did it look? It just looked horrifying from this far away. It really did.
Yeah, it was like 20, 30 miles north, and we'd have been in some real shite. We did the Irma thing. I think the things, like the two things that people don't, I think, get about hurricanes that are so like crazy, besides the massive damage, while you're trying to weather it, like once the wind hits 40 miles an hour, there's no 911. They don't even answer the phone. You're just done. You're just stuck where you're at, right? So you can't leave. You've made your choices, and this is where you're at, no matter how bad it gets, and you're on your own. And you're sitting, like for us, in Irma, we were in the house, hurricane shutters on. It was about 15 hours. It doesn't matter if it's day or night. You can't see any light because the shutters are covering all the things, so it's dark. And all you hear is this like it's like sitting right underneath a train going by for 15 hours, and every now and then just shit hitting your house, just bam on the side of your house, and you're like, what was that? And it's just it's unnerving because of how long it lasts. It's really something. So all those folks down there, I feel really bad. Feel really bad for them. Feel really bad, and I hope they maybe we'll put something together to help some folks out, because I think they deserve it. But all right,
doubt.
With that, let's call it a show. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Scott, for joining. Really liked having you on. Appreciate
Anytime.
you, man.
Anytime.
Remember,
Thank you.
We're looking for your involvement. Don't forget about us on Patreon, patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast, patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. As little as $5 a month donation gets you access to the Slack chat, which just in game day alone is probably just worth the money, but it is the most intelligent Lions chat on the internet. You get Scott, you get Sandman, you get me, you get Ash, you get Riz. We're all there. You hang out. It's a great group of people. Ton of great channels, great conversations. Hang out. Join us from patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. Also follow us on Twitter at DET Lions Podcast, DET Lions Podcast. It's the best Twitter on the internet because you get to hang around with us pants free all the time. Call us on Skype, Detroit Lions Podcast, all one word, Detroit Lions Podcast, or call us on the Lions line at 929-335-4667. It's 929-33-LIONS. And put your toasters away. We're not jumping in any bathtubs yet, but keep them handy. We'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks. Be sure to go to DetroitLionsPodcast.com. Subscribe to the podcast. What happens when they subscribe, Scott?
It's great stuff.
Yeah, we show up in their ears automatically.
Yeah, you get all this stuff. Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in. We're going to see you next time with the Detroit Lions Podcast. Remember, no pants, no toasters, no hot tubs. No problems, because we're Detroit Lions and Reddit Connection. Thank you all for tuning in.